Welcome back. We are talking with the Cleveland Clinic president and CEO, Dr. Tom Mihailovich. The UK discovered a new strand of coronavirus, doctor, in southern England. Officials are saying that there's nothing to show it will cause a more serious disease, but analysis is suggesting it's a new variant. It's growing faster than existing variants. What can you tell us about this new strand and whether it impacts the effectiveness of the Pfizer vaccine?
Maria, it is really too early to tell. The new strain of viruses are a common occurrence during any pandemic. Viruses typically evolve. Fortunately, they typically evolve into the strains that are less virulent, meaning less dangerous. Right now, it's too early to tell. How is this going to, if at all, affect the efficacy of the vaccine?
Dr. Mihailovich, I was at the Cleveland Clinic a couple of years ago with your predecessor, Dr. Toby Cosgrove, and I was really just taken aback by all the technology that you have, the robotics that you are using. Tell us about the innovation that you are doing at the Cleveland Clinic and in healthcare in general. You know, another issue around this coronavirus is the fact that people didn't do regular checkups, mammograms. They didn't do, heart disease checkups. I wonder if that has put us at a disadvantage now in certain cases.
Yeah, the deferment of care that happened during the COVID-19 pandemic is a serious issue. We are only going to find out in the future how serious that issue actually is, but we are very concerned about it. Here at the Cleveland Clinic, we put a lot of effort to reach out to our patients and remind them that COVID-19 pandemic has not stopped the need for them to have their regular checkups. And this is particularly important for those who have to go through the regular screening and checkups for cancer. Because the best way to treat cancer effectively is a timely diagnosis. So I would really appeal to all of your viewers to make sure they see their physicians regularly, in particularly when it comes to cancer screening.
And what about that growth and innovation at the Cleveland Clinic? Tell us about it.
The innovation at the Cleveland Clinic has really gone into high gear with the COVID-19 pandemic. We have published hundreds of articles and received very generous support for the ongoing research. We have just found our new Center for Global and Emerging Pathogens, the center that will study the existing viruses, but also prepare us to respond to the next pandemic, which will inevitably come. Because if we do not find a research institutions like a Center for Global and Emerging Pathogens of the Cleveland Clinic that will find and isolate the new viruses quickly and develop vaccines even more rapidly, we will be forced during the next pandemic to repeat exactly the steps that we were forced to do during this pandemic, which will be disastrous. So we are very excited about this new development.
So what is the likelihood of another pandemic, and when might that happen?
We do not know when the next pandemic is going to happen, but the fact is that the global warming and the global mobility are two most important contributing factors to the likelihood that a new occurrence of the viruses or pathogens from any part of this globe will spread rapidly to the rest of the population. And we do have to get ourselves organized better. And this research effort for early detection of pathogens for the rapid development of new cures is going.
And I keep telling people, it's like literally the stage is set, right? They're literally setting the stage. This current one isn't even over. The new vaccine is just released, and already, oh shoot, there's another strain. I talked about this yesterday. And if they're willing to shut stuff down for this one, do you not imagine that they will shut it down for the next one? And this is what happens time and time again. When you rely upon other people for your safety, when you give up your liberties, when you give up your freedom so that other people will rush in and save you, this is what happens. Mind you, the CDC, of course, I should say the FDA, released just a little bit, just something to look out for, which I talked about this in my side effects video, right? And so you don't hear too much about this, and a lot of this information is kind of like thrown out there. They might cover it for like a hot for like a hot second into the media, and then real quickly they'd be like, Donald Trump is killing thousands, and then they'll just rush over to that segment, right? They glance over a lot of this stuff, right? They glance over a lot of this stuff, even though it was like, oh, it was only 4 out of 30,000. If you actually read the study, it's a little misleading. It was more like 4 out of 130 something people. I digressed. Just a little bit of information of talking about both the Moderna as well as the Pfizer vaccine. For those who imagine a Pfizer vaccine, everybody's going to need it. This is our salvation. This is what's going to bring us back to life, right? And look at the stock, right? Look at the stock. Everybody pushes how glorious and amazing the vaccine is, but look at what investors are doing. Right? Look at what the stock market thinks of the great vaccine that is going to save us all. People who don't follow the market, this has been happening. You look at Moderna, on the other hand, Moderna, the pump and dump that is Moderna, this company has never released a medication. This company has never released a medication, but look at the stock, right? This company has not released a single medication. And literally comes out of nowhere. It was like a $10 stock that is now $160. They've never released a medication. But people want to put their faith in these companies. There was an article, that was released not too long ago. Let me see if I can find it real quick. This was also a good little tidbit, right? If you allow the government to break the law during an emergency, they will create emergencies to break the law. There was a really good article. This is a real good article. For those who want a nice little read, I'll leave a link in the description. For those who want a nice little read, a little bit of investigative reporting that you don't see too much of. This is a lot of one. If you haven't subscribed to my Twitter, I post this stuff all day, every day. It's just people just are unwilling to do any sort of research. So much fraud going on with rapid tests, where in Ohio, state after state after state, where there's so much fraud that is going on, right? Flawed tests. They're like, no, the tests from South Korea were good. And then like a month later, they're like, oh shit, these tests don't work. And they were by the thousands, right? Origin, Boston Labs, 382. What does that say? This is straight out of the study. But no one wants to do any sort of research at all. They're just like, what does the mainstream media say? What is the Detroit Lions dealing with multiple what? What does that say there? Let's look good, get a little closer. What does that say? Detroit Lions dealing with what? Over and over and over and over again. I post this stuff all day. Just people just don't want to do any kind of research whatsoever. It just doesn't even matter. They're just willing. What is it that the mainstream media says? Let's just let it wash over me, right? Just let the mainstream media wash over me, and that's where all of my information will come from. And it's funny too, people imagine, are hospitals overinflating this? I see other healthcare workers, etc., posting stuff about, we got all these patients on ventilators and on oxygen and high flow. Where do all these patients come from? Are you telling me that the hospital is overinflating all this information, that they're just lying about all these patients? And if you actually do any kind of research, there was, of course, fact checkers were asked, because this has popped up numerous times, about whether hospitals were paid extra, right? An extra $13,000 per patient who is diagnosed. And then for any person, of course, who gets intubated, they charge the government, right? They charge Medicare an additional $35,000. And of course, you have individuals like right here, the senator from Minnesota, Scott Jensen, who was like, I don't think hospitals would be doing this and overinflating this, any of this information. And then of course, you have the federal government. Hospitals oppose test requirements for more Medicare funding. It says Trump administration condition for receiving enhanced Medicare, which we just talked about, funding aims to prevent fraud. But hospitals point to coronavirus testing problems. It says hospital groups say new federal policy requiring them to document positive test results to receive additional Medicare funding is burdensome, and as they prepare for an increase in cases this fall, right? So the government is like, we need you to come with them receipts if you want that extra money. And the hospital's like, okay, we don't even have time. We're swamped. There's so many patients here. Just send us the money. We're doctors, damn it. You can trust us. It's like, and it's like, come on, man. It's like, at some point, one of you people are going to realize that you're getting played.